Well, hello, welcome back. Welcome to episode 4 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show. I am Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. And welcome back. How are y'all doing this week? I know it's been kind of a crazy week out there in the world, and I hope this show can provide at least a brief respite from anybody's troubles out there. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you have a topic, a comment, or a question, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, you can email me anytime at the address in the description of this video. Also, specifically for this video, I have a somewhat of a dry throat today, so I have a glass of water. So if you'll forgive me from time to time, I might take a sip. There are a lot of topics that I want to talk about this week. So let's get started with this. This report comes from CBR. It was published 3 days ago. There's going to be a new Resident Evil movie. Specifically, the Resident Evil film franchise is being reinvented again. This report comes from CBR. Per the Hollywood Reporter, it's been revealed that Resident Evil is once again being rebooted with an all-new live-action adaptation. Zach Cregger, known for his work on the hit horror film Barbarian, is at the helm for the reboot. As of now, an quote, intense bidding war, quote, end quote, is underway for Cregger's Resident Evil project, suggesting that studios and streamers see great potential in the film, despite the last movie made for the franchise flopping. Yes, it did. Gosh, that was terrible. Reportedly, the article goes on to say, reportedly, Warner Brothers and Netflix are among 4 serious contenders trying to land the rights. Okay, first of all, let me get this out of the way. I hope it doesn't go to Netflix. I prefer personally to see movies in the theater. I've seen a handful of Netflix original movies that are good, great even. I just watched Maestro, and that was so good. I've seen Mudbound, which is great. So I have seen a few Netflix original movies that are good. I hope it doesn't go to Netflix just because I want to see this in the theater. Okay, now let me get on with this. I have not seen all the Resident Evil films. I've seen the first 2. And I thought they were okay. I thought they were decent. I haven't seen any of the others because, quite honestly, I've heard that they're all bags of crap. I will eventually get around to watching them, probably when I have a glass of bourbon in my hand, because bourbon makes everything better, you know. There's that. What gives me what gets me excited about this is the director of Barbarian is doing this. Now, I have not seen Barbarian. All I know is that the reviews, all I've heard is that it's great. It's great. So I would like to see it, to see what kind of, what Zach Cregger brings to the table. And obviously that was a big selling point. Because this guy did Barbarian, we have faith that you'll do Resident Evil right. God, I want this franchise to work. I really do. I'm such a huge fan of the video games. And the first 2 movies, like I said, were okay. But after that, I'll get a, I just want these to be good movies. So here's hoping that this one is actually good. Barbarian, okay, I can get excited about that. So we'll see what happens with this. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. This next piece of news that I want to talk about is this. Adam Winguard, director Adam Winguard, who directed the most recent Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, and I believe he did Godzilla King of the Monsters as well, but I'm not sure. But I know for a fact he did Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. He is working on the next. I want to make sure I get this right. He is working on the next chapter in this, the next movie in this MonsterVerse, and this report is on CBR that reveals that Caitlin Dever, who was in the Last of Us TV show, she is now in talks to star in the next MonsterVerse movie. This article, it says, per Deadline, Caitlin Dever is now in talks to star in the upcoming Godzilla X Kong sequel. The film, which will see Grant Sputor take the helm with Winguard focusing on different projects, will similarly feature a mix of human characters and familiar titans. David Callahan is writing the script. Character details have not yet been disclosed, and no other cast members are known to be involved with the film at this time. So, according to this report, Adam Winguard is not directing this film, which is fine. You know, I haven't seen Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. I heard it was kind of silly. So maybe a new director is what this franchise needs. Who's to say? You know, obviously you get somebody who was involved in The Last of Us, you know, that was her biggest, that was Caitlin Dever's biggest role yet. She was also in Booksmart, and she's great in Booksmart. She's so good, and that movie's great too. So this gets me excited. This casting gets me excited because I like her. The last couple, I mean, the first Godzilla versus Kong was awesome. I thought it was great. King of the Monsters was fun. It was fun. It was a little, it was maybe, how do I want to say this? It was a little too whimsical for, I think, American audiences. See, like the old classic Godzilla movies were very whimsical, which is perfectly fine by me. But I don't think American audiences want I think they want their monster movies to be a little more serious. I could be wrong. Godzilla King of the Monsters was fun. It was entertaining. I thought Godzilla versus Kong was a lot better. I haven't seen the new one. This casting news gets me excited. We'll see what the director brings to the table. So there's this piece of news. Jump in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts about this. This next piece of news has to do. Excuse me for a second. Has to do with the DC universe. James Gunn's the DC universe that James Gunn and Peter Safran are overseeing, and it has to do with the Green Lantern series, which is called Lanterns. And So this report again comes from CBR. Um, this was published 3 days ago. It says the DCU's Sinestro has arrived. In the upcoming series Lanterns, the DC supervillain will be played by Ulrich Thompson. Per Deadline, it's been reported that Ulrich Thompson has taken on the role of the live-action Sinestro in Lanterns, a DCU series that's in development at HBO. The article goes on to say the Sinestro character is a former Green Lantern gone rogue, and in the comics he served as a mentor to Hal Jordan, played by Kyle Chandler in the TV series. Aaron Pierre is also starring as the John Stewart Green Lantern, picking up as John and Hal investigate a murder mystery. So this I'm very excited about this show. Mostly because of Kyle Chandler. I grew up watching. I believe it was it was early edition. It was a show that Kyle Chandler was on, where he would get a newspaper every morning, and there would be like a cat at his doorstep, sitting on a newspaper, and the newspaper would give him, like, he had a mystery to solve or something, or and I loved that show, and I loved Kyle Chandler ever since. It sounds like the tone, everything that I've been reading about this show seems like it's going to be a little more serious than the Green Lantern. Like, they're going to take a more serious tone with this, which I think is great. I'm not too familiar with Ulrich Thompson, but it's it's great that they've cast Sinestro, which gives me, it implies that we're going to see the Lantern home planet of Oa. I could be wrong, but I would like to see Oa again. I think seeing that on the big screen, or I'm sorry, on the small screen, that could be really cool. And with James Gunn and Peter Safran in charge of this, again, I have faith in James Gunn. I do. I think everything. I loved Creature Commandos. Superman looks great. So far I'm very excited about this. Aaron Pierre starring as John Stewart. Now we have Ulrich Thompson playing Sinestro. This show is coming together, and I'm getting more excited about this. What do you guys think? Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. This next piece of news it comes from MovieWeb, and it has to do with the latest Disney Plus show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is the newest. It doesn't take place in the main MCU timeline, but it is part of the MCU. So this article is on MovieWeb, published by Jonathan Fugue. And this article says that Disney clearly has great faith in the latest Disney Plus Marvel series, as work on Season 2 and Season 3 of the animated outing Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has already begun. According to executive producer Brad Winderbaum, who appeared recently on the Movie Podcast, the future of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man looks very bright indeed, with Winderbaum revealing that he has already, quote, read all the scripts, end quote, for Season 2. This is great. This is great. Look, I haven't watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but I will, because it's Spider-Man and it's part of the MCU. It's Spider-Man to me has always been one of my favorite comic book characters. He's always, I feel like people could mostly young men, teenage men, could identify with him as a character because he had, not because of his superpowers, obviously, but because he had trouble in school, he had trouble getting girls, he had acne problems, he had all this stuff, and then you have to pile all that on with, in addition to the responsibility of being Spider-Man. I grew up watching the '90s animated Spider-Man TV show, and that's still one of my favorite TV shows. Not just animated shows, not just comic book shows, but still one of my favorite TV shows ever. I'm very excited. I haven't watched this show yet, though. I've heard great things about it. I've seen the trailer. It looks cool, and obviously, again, like this article says, the show is getting a good enough response, and Disney has faith that they've renewed it for 2 more seasons. I think this is wonderful. I think the more Spider-Man, the better. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. This next article comes from Screen Rant, and it has to do. There is a new comedy movie. It's a holiday comedy starring Alan Ritchson, who is on the Reacher TV show, and one of my favorite action guys growing up is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's got Alan Ritchson and Arnold Schwarzenegger in a holiday comedy. And this article is on Screen Rant, published by Dan Zinski. And this article says, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alan Ritchson have a new partner for their upcoming holiday comedy as the star of Shang-Chi joins the cast of The Man with the Bag. That's the title of this movie. This article goes on to say that the cast of Schwarzenegger and Ritchson's holiday movie is indeed beginning to fill out as Shang-Chi star Awkwafina joins those 2 action heavyweights for some Christmas laughs. Details on Awkwafina's Man with the Bag role are being kept gift-wrapped until a later date via deadline. Okay. My only hope is that this goes better than Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way is it's okay. It's fun. It's geared toward a younger audience, which is fine. I hope this. It's just that Jingle All the Way is not a very good movie. I hope this is better. I am a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and I have been since I was like 12. I remember watching Predator and Terminator 2 and, Commando and all that stuff. I haven't watched Reacher, so I'm not too familiar with Alan Ritchson, but I love Awkwafina. She was great in Shang-Chi, and I just watched Crazy Rich Asians, which I loved, and she was great in that movie. So I love her. My only concern is that this ends up better than Jingle All the Way. That's my only concern. Everything. Actually, hold on. This article says it appears that the synopsis is on this article. So the film synopsis says that Christmas is in need of saving in Schwarzenegger's first holiday comedy since Jingle All the Way, as Santa, played by Schwarzenegger, has his magic bag stolen and calls upon a naughty thief, played by Alan Ritchson, to help him get it back. The film's synopsis says the thief's daughter and a band of misfits join him and Santa in executing a bag-retrieving heist, and it's likely Awkwafina has been cast to play one of those misfits. Okay. Sign me up. It's funny that Schwarzenegger's playing Santa. I mean, that's so appealing to me. On such a hilarious. It's so hilarious to me. Like, of course he is, because it's a holiday comedy. He's going to play Santa. This sounds fun. Okay, of Richard's going to help him get the Santa's bag back. Okay, cool. Sign me up. Just please be better than Jingle All the Way. Please. Please. Jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are about this. This next article has to do with... this next piece of news has to do with an upcoming... There's a sci-fi thriller starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, who I love, by the way. So, unfortunately, they have a movie. They have an upcoming movie called Mercy. And this article comes from Screen Rant, published by Brennan Klein. And according to this article, Mercy has been delayed. It is being directed by, I never know how to pronounce this guy's name, Timur Bekmambetov, who directed Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He directed Night Watch, and he directed the remake of Ben-Hur. It's fine. It's fine. So he's directing Mercy, and it looks like that movie, Mercy, is being delayed. Per deadline, Mercy has been pushed back from its previously announced release date of August 15th, 2025, which so now it's being delayed to January 23rd, 2026. So this article also provides a brief synopsis. The movie, which follows a detective attempting to clear his name in the near future, features Guardians of the Galaxy star Chris Pratt and Dune star Rebecca Ferguson, alongside an ensemble cast that includes Annabelle Wallis, Kylie Reese, Raffi Gavron, Chris Sullivan, Kenneth Choi, Kylie Wadgers, and Jeff Pierre. Okay, so a detective attempting to clear his name in the near future. That immediately gives me Minority Report vibes. And I love Minority Report. I just hope... I like Chris Pratt. I think some of his choices outside of the MCU, some of the movies that he's been in outside of the Marvel movies have been questionable. I love Rebecca Ferguson. I adore that woman so much. She's so talented and gorgeous, and she's everything that you want in a leading lady, And I like Annabelle Wallis too. I'm not too familiar with the rest of this cast. This director, though, I'd have to see a trailer in order for me to get more interested in this project. I like the genre. I love the genre, actually. Again, it gives me Minority Report vibes. I just hope it's good. Because so far nothing that the director has done, has interested me or has, So jump in the comment section and let me know what you think about this. Maybe it stinks that it's getting delayed. Maybe it's getting delayed. I don't know why. It doesn't say why. It just stinks. It could be because of I don't know. Jump in the comment section and let me know what you think about this. This next article, this next piece of news, comes from CBR, and it does say, and is about someone I mentioned a few minutes ago, director Adam Wingard, who made Godzilla and Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. His next movie is going to be an action horror thriller called Onslaught. And this article is on CBR, published by John Dodge. And the article says, acclaimed Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire director Adam Wingard snags a fan favorite star for his next A24 feature. A24 is a film studio, and they're doing amazing work. A24 is. This article goes on to say, per the Hollywood Reporter, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire star Rebecca Hall has officially joined the cast for Wingard's upcoming action horror thriller Onslaught. This article goes on to say, although no firm plot details have been reported, the official synopsis for Onslaught reads, quote, a mother living in a trailer park uses her skills to protect her loved ones from a threat that escaped a secret military base while mercenaries try to contain it, end quote. Come on. Doesn't that sound awesome? Like, of course, I mean, this is just right up my alley. Now, it should be noted that Adam Wingard is best known for his horror films. He directed You're Next. He directed The Guest, and he also did the 2016 Blair Witch movie. So this is not a new... I will say, while I haven't personally seen any of those films, horror is not a... it's familiar territory to him. I would be more... I would be a little more dubious if this were new territory for him, but it's not. He's done horror in the past. Rebecca Hall joining this movie. I don't know if Rebecca Hall even knows how good she is. You know, I mean, she was so great she's been so great in these MonsterVerse movies. She was one of the few things that I liked about Iron Man 3. I am so looking forward to not only this movie but seeing her in it. She did this horror movie a couple years back that I don't remember the name of. But anyway, this sounds great. You know, Adam Wingard. Maybe this is why he's not directing the next movie in the MonsterVerse. In the MonsterVerse, this sounds great to me. I'm so looking forward to this. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. Next piece of news has to do with the upcoming. There's more casting news for the upcoming Scream 7, and there's more casting news that I'm going to talk about later. Okay, so this article is on CBR and published by Jody Brown. Scream 7 has added... this article is on CBR, and the article says, according to Deadline, Mark Consuelos, who is the co-host of Live with Kelly and Mark, who is also known for Riverdale, Mark Consuelos has joined the Scream 7 cast in an undisclosed role. it's these bits of casting news so far for Scream 7. Part of the fun of these Scream movies is guessing who the Ghostface killer is, right? And you never know who it is, and it's just like I don't this is intriguing to me because of there's so much casting news around this movie that I'm going to get into later, that it's just like, is there going to be more than one Ghostface killer? Like, is this going to harken back to the earlier films of the franchise where there was more than one? Who knows? I'm not familiar with Mark Consuelos, but this cast seems to be rounding out quite nicely, and I'm a huge fan of the franchise. So let me know what you guys think about this. This next report comes from Joe Blow. And this article has to do with an upcoming movie that Helen Mirren is going to in. Helen Mirren is great. So according to this article, Helen Mirren will play Patricia Highsmith, who is the author of the series that followed the character Tom Ripley. There's a Netflix series called Ripley. That series is based on novels that Patricia Highsmith wrote, and Helen Mirren is going to play Patricia Highsmith. The movie, this article was published on Joe Blow by Cody Haman. Helen Mirren plays Patricia Highsmith, author of the Ripley novels, in the thriller titled Switzerland, directed by Anton Corbijn. So let's see. Based on a play by Joanna Murray Smith, who has also written the screenplay, Switzerland tells a fictional story that sees Mirren playing Highsmith at a time when the aging queen of thrillers is fading away in Switzerland. A young literary agent named Edward, who was going to be played by Alden Ehrenreich, who, his most famous role, I think, is he played Han Solo in the Han Solo movie, which I liked. I enjoyed that movie. So a young literary agent named Edward, who would be played by Alden Ehrenreich, tries to coax her out of retirement to pen one last installment of her popular Ripley series. It soon becomes clear that the charming agent is on a more sinister mission. As they begin to collaborate on a new Ripley plot, the world they live in and the one they are constructing become blurred. Okay. I love movies like this, where one reality, the reality that you think you live in turns into another, and they just, you don't know what's real anymore. I love movies like that, and Helen Mirren is great at anything. I first saw Helen Mirren when she did the movie. She was in the movie The Queen, where she won the Oscar for playing the Queen. And she's great in that. And quite honestly, I would watch her in anything at all. This sounds very intriguing. This sounds like it's got my attention. Helen Mirren, obviously, she'll be coming off the 1923 that she's doing. So there's that too. Anton Corbijn directed this movie called A Most Wanted Man. I believe it has Oscar Isaac in it. And that's a really it's a slow burn, but it's a great film. It really is. Um, and so this sounds great to me. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you think about Helen Mirren taking on uh, Patricia Highsmith. I think this sounds great. This next piece of news, this next piece of news that I want to talk about has to do with is about an upcoming M Night Shyamalan movie. So this article is on Deadline. Excuse me, just a second. Mm. So this article is on Deadline, and it was published by Justin Kroll. Uh, this article says M. Night Shyamalan looks to have his sights set on his next mysterious project and looks to have found some high profile talent to collaborate with. Sources tell Deadline Jake Gyllenhaal is set to star in M. Night Shyamalan's upcoming film, a supernatural romantic thriller based on an original story co-created by Shyamalan and global best-selling novelist Nicholas Sparks. Shyamalan and Sparks are independently writing a screenplay and a novel, respectively, based on the same original love story. Both projects will be based on the same concept and set of characters, excuse me, but tailored to their respective mediums. Okay. Let me get this out of the way first. I'm not a big fan of Nicholas Sparks. I've seen a couple of movies that are based off of his books. I've seen Message in a Bottle with Kevin Costner, Robin Wright, and Paul Newman, and that one's okay. That one's okay. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. he's another actor that I'll watch him do anything. He can do any genre. I think he can play any kind of character. Um, it pains me to say this. It pains me to say this. I used to be a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan. Huge. Like after The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, I was his biggest fan. And then he kind of fell off the rails for quite a while. He did, let's see here. He did Lady in the Water, which is not good. He did The Village, not good. He did The Happening, terrible. He did, what else? After Earth, not great. Not great. He did The Last Airbender, which over time, I'm going to be honest, I have grown to see how terrible that movie is. Like, even if you didn't know it's based off of the show, it's just a bad movie. It's just a bad movie. So he did a string of, M. Night Shyamalan did a string of, like, 5 movies in a row that were just awful. And then he did a movie called The Visit, which I was pleasantly surprised by. That movie is very, very good. It kind of, in a weird way, blends horror and a little bit of comedy, and it's a little weird, and it's a little like that was an odd choice creatively, but overall, I think The Visit was his best movie since Signs. Then he did Split with James McAvoy, and that movie is great. It's great. And James McAvoy is great in that movie. Unfortunately, after that, Shyamalan directed a movie called he did the third movie in the Unbreakable trilogy. He did a movie called Glass. Not very good. Not good. Then he did Old, which is one of the very few times in my life where I've actually considered walking out of the movie theater. That movie's bad. It's bad. It's so bad. His most recent movies, I've heard Knock at the Cabin was pretty good. I haven't watched it. I've heard Trap, his most recent movie that he did with Josh Hartnett. I've heard that was okay. But the fact is that, at least for me personally, M. Night Shyamalan has gone from one of my favorite directors ever to I can no longer be excited about M. Night. I no longer get excited if M. Night Shyamalan is directing a movie. Like, I'd have to wait for what the word of mouth is, what the reviews say about this movie. Hopefully it's good. You know, it's interesting because I think with, you know, regardless of whether you like his movies or not, M. Night Shyamalan certainly is a unique storyteller. And I think when you have such a unique storyteller blend with Nicholas Sparks, look, I may not have read Nicholas Sparks' books, but I know the genre he does, okay? And I think when you have those two talents blend, it could be interesting. And I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I will. He's someone that I'll watch him in anything he does. He's another one of those talents. Is it going to be interesting enough for me to spend my money? I don't know. I can no longer. Like I said, I can no longer get excited when when I hear that M. Night Shyamalan is doing a new movie, and it pains me to say that. So we'll see. Maybe you guys feel differently about this. Maybe you guys love this. You know, I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is great. Jump in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. So, this next piece of news is on Deadline. And it has to do with an upcoming movie that Eddie Murphy is going to be in. Oh, I got some. Whoops. I got some on my face. I got some water on my face. So Eddie Murphy, this article is on Deadline, published by Mike Fleming Jr. Wow. Eddie Murphy to star as former super spy in Blue Falcon. That's the title of the movie, Blue Falcon, as Sony acquires Chad St. John's script. This article says Sony Pictures has Eddie Murphy poised to star in Blue Falcon, a two-hander action comedy. Studio acquired a script by Chad St. John, who did the London Has Fallen. And he most recently scripted the just-wrapped Alan Ritchson starrer Motor City. Murphy will play a retired super spy who heads for the destination wedding of his estranged son and finds himself in proximity with his arch rival. With his arch rival. Okay. I'm going to say this, and it's not going to be popular. Eddie Murphy, I think, has had one of the most roller coaster kind of careers. It's and it's unfortunate because he's incredibly talented. I think he's incredibly talented. He's when his career is going well, it's going great. When his career is not doing good, it's going terrible. You know, like it's one of those things where when his career, you know what they say, it's like when it rains, it pours. When his career is, when it's bad, it's really bad. But when it's good, it's great. This gets me, I'm interested in this though, mostly because of the genre, an action comedy. Eddie Murphy has proven to do well in that particular, in that particular genre, with the Beverly Hills Cop and, other things. I haven't seen the last Beverly Hills Cop, but I've heard it's pretty good. You know, hopefully it's better than Beverly Hills than the last two. He can clearly do this genre, and that's what gets me excited. An action comedy where he heads for the destination wedding of his estranged son and finds himself in proximity with his arch rival. Come on, this sounds hilarious, especially with someone as talented as Eddie Murphy. I think this sounds funny. I think this could be another movie that gets people looking forward to seeing Eddie Murphy again. Maybe, if it's good. I don't know. I mean, it sounds good to me. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about that. This, like I mentioned before, there's a bunch of Scream 7 casting news coming out, and a couple of them are really quite interesting. And this next piece of news comes from CBR. The article says, the latest casting news for Scream 7 may be the most surprising addition of them all. It's been revealed that another franchise star is returning for the new film, even though his character was killed off in the franchise 26 years ago. Per Deadline, actor Scott Foley has joined the cast of Scream 7. Now, for those who don't know, Scott Foley played Roman Bridger in Scream 3. Roman Bridger was the half-brother of Sidney Prescott, and it was revealed that he was the Ghostface killer in Scream 3. This is interesting to me, because how do you bring, it was, in my mind, it was a pretty definitive, like, he's dead, like his character was killed. But maybe not, maybe there's a different way to bring him back, like in a flashback or something, or maybe not. I don't know this, but this is interesting. Like this, I am shocked about this. Scott Foley, the Roman Bridger character was... I didn't like Scream 3 all that much, but Roman Bridger wasn't one of the reasons why I didn't like that movie. I thought Roman Bridger was a good character, and they, Scott Foley was great in the film. It's interesting. Like, this is like, ooh, like I wonder what like, you can't bring Scott Foley back and have him not play Roman Bridger, right? That would just be odd. That would just not work at all. So this is interesting to me. I wonder what I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys have theories about this? Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. This is interesting. What do you guys think? This next piece of news has to do with the with with Christopher Nolan's upcoming movie. You know, he's adapting the Odyssey. Um, and this article is on CBR, published by Adam Mielstrup. Benny Safdie, according to this article, Oppenheimer star Benny Safdie has officially joined the star-studded cast for, excuse me, Christopher Nolan's upcoming film, The Odyssey. He was wonderful in Oppenheimer. You know, and it's great to see. I love when directors continue to collaborate with actors that they've worked with in the past. Like it's an ongoing collaboration. I like to see that. Benny Safdie was great in Oppenheimer, and I'm sure that he how do I want to say it? The character that he played in Oppenheimer wasn't a dispensable character, right? The character that he played was an important part in the story of that movie. And I'm sure that Christopher Nolan, being the director that he is, being the storyteller that he is, I'm sure that Benny Safdie will play a similar kind of character in The Odyssey. This makes me even more excited for this movie. I can't wait to see this. Jump in the comments section and let me know your thoughts about this. This next bit of news has to do with an upcoming comic adaptation. The producers of Late Night with the Devil will be adapting an adaptation of the Scott Snyder comic Dungeon. So this article is on The Hollywood Reporter, and it was published by Boris Kitt. And this article says that Spooky Pictures, the company run by Steven Schneider and Roy Lee, has teamed up with IDW Entertainment to adapt Dungeon, the horror comic by Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman. Let's see here. This article goes on to say, published as a 5-issue miniseries in 2023 and 2024, the story begins when a family moves from the Big Apple to upstate New York to escape the hustle and bustle. However, their father's dream of a quiet rural life is shattered when he discovers a dungeon underneath their land filled with torture devices, weapons, and a threatening message on the wall that reads, "Tell no one." Ooh, I like that. The discovery sets up a paranoid serial kidnapping mystery where no one, not even the father's child, is safe, and not even the FBI agent assigned to the case can help. Wow. I mean, come on. Like, you had me at Dungeon. Dungeon of torture devices and weapons. Like, come on. Like, that... I don't know what that says about me, that kind of stuff appeals to me. But this sounds awesome. And it sounds... You know, I kind of like now that we're getting comic book adaptations that aren't Marvel or DC. I like I like that we're getting the more independent stuff. And this premise sounds great. And the story sounds, you know, I hope this is good. It sounds good, and I want it to be successful. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts about this. I think this sounds great. This next bit of news that I want to talk about is a little it's depressing because it has to do with another movie delay. Uh, this article is on Bloody Disgusting, published by John Squires, and it says that Insidious 6 will no longer be releasing this year. So this article says that the horror genre's 2025 release slate is already being shaken up, with the sixth installment in the long-running Insidious film franchise no longer returning to theaters this year. Originally planned for release from Sony on August 29th, 2025, the untitled Insidious 6 will no longer be meeting that date. In fact, Insidious 6 won't be releasing until August 21st, 2026. This sucks. This really stinks. You know, I don't know why the movie's being delayed. I sometimes you never know. It's just that sometimes when you don't understand why a movie gets delayed, it's irritating because you want things to be released on their original date. You know, like why can't things keep their original date? I want it now. I want to see it now. The Insidious franchise, excuse me, is fine to me. The first one is the best one. The second one, I think after the first one, it's gone downhill since the first one. I have not seen, what was the last one? Insidious: The Red Door, which Patrick Wilson he starred in and directed. So I haven't seen that one. I just know that the two before that were fine. They were fine. They were nothing. You know, I just hope this one is good. I hope this one is good. And, you know, it stinks that it's getting delayed. I don't have that much more to offer, except that this sucks, you know. So we'll see what happens with this. How do you guys feel about the Insidious franchise? What do you guys think? Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. One more bit of casting news for Scream 7, and this one is a real shocker. So this article on CBR, published less than 24 hours ago. Scream 7 shocker. Matthew Lillard will return 30 years after a character's death. This article says that 3 decades after his character was killed off, Matthew Lillard is returning to the Scream franchise. The return is just as shocking as it is exciting for many fans, given the fate of the character in the original film. Per Deadline, it's been revealed that Lillard is coming back for Scream 7. So, for those who don't know, Matthew Lillard played Stu. Stu Macher? Was that his last name? Stu Macher in the original Scream. And, you know, my mom and dad are going to be so mad at me. You know, like, come on. This, to me, is interesting. Because I think his death in the original Scream was more ambiguous. I think he could have survived, and maybe he just has a horribly scarred face, and that's what we're going to see in Scream 7. His death was more ambiguous than the killer from Scream 3. The Ghostface killer from Scream 3. I love this. I cannot wait for, like, I'm just curious what this movie is going to be with all this casting news. Like, what are they doing? I'm excited about this because it raises questions. Like, how are they going to, like, in what ways are they going to be bringing a couple of these characters back? I'd love to see a horribly scarred Stu Macher in Scream 7. I'd love to, especially with the way Matthew Lillard plays that character. I'd love to see that. I just have, like, this is, I can't shut up about how much I'm intrigued by this. I have so many questions, and I'm so excited. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. This could end up being the best one of the franchise. I don't know. What do you guys think? This next bit of news regards the iconic character of Hannibal Lecter. This article is on CBR, and this article says that according to film industry insider Daniel Richtman, Universal Studios is developing a new Hannibal Lecter movie, unquote. However, it's currently unclear if Anthony Hopkins will return to reprise the role. Let me just jump in here. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Anthony Hopkins has, after he did Red Dragon, which is so for those who don't know, there was this movie that was released in 1986 called Manhunter, which starred William Peterson, and Brian Cox played Hannibal Lecter. Manhunter was a film adaptation of Red Dragon, the book. And years later, I believe in 2002, Anthony Hopkins starred in another adaptation of Red Dragon. And the movie was called Red Dragon. And Anthony Hopkins played Hannibal Lecter this time. So it was kind of, the Red Dragon movie was kind of a retroactive kind of, like, it was kind of a retroactive remake of Manhunter, while also being another adaptation of Red Dragon, the book. By the way, I've read Red Dragon, and it's awesome. It's so good. My mom bought it for me. Shout out to my mom. Thank you, Mom. That movie is great. Or that book is great, I'm sorry. So the article says it's currently unclear if Anthony Hopkins will return to reprise the role. So when he did Red Dragon, Anthony Hopkins made it pretty clear that was the last time he was going to play Hannibal Lecter. The article goes on to say no additional details about the project were shared, so it's also not known if the film is intended to be a reboot or a new sequel to the previous Universal films about the character. No filmmakers or cast members were noted to be attached to the project as of this time, and Universal has not yet offered an official comment. I think it's going to be a reinvention. I don't see any reason why, like, it wouldn't make sense to me if it was part of the previously established Hannibal Lecter series of movies. That wouldn't make sense to me. Because if you're going to do that, then why not get Anthony Hopkins? It's going to be interesting to see somebody else play Hannibal Lecter. By the way, I really enjoyed Brian Cox's the way he played Hannibal Lecter. I really liked it. I think Anthony Hopkins was better, obviously, but I really enjoyed Brian Cox's interpretation of the character. There was a movie called Hannibal Rising, which is based off of the book. The movie's not great. It's actually pretty terrible. Somebody else, I forget his name. He was but he played Hannibal Lecter. He recently passed away. He was in one of the Marvel TV shows. I'd have to look up which one. I'm sorry, it bothers me that I can't remember his name. But if you look up Hannibal Rising, the actor who played Hannibal Lecter, but he was great in the Hannibal Rising film adaptation. The movie as a whole was not very good. He was great. He was wonderful. He sadly passed away a few years ago. It's going to be interesting to see somebody else play Hannibal Lecter. Look, I personally love that character. It's such an interesting character who clearly has no morals, no moral compass, you know. It's going to be interesting to see somebody else play Hannibal when Anthony Hopkins is so identified with playing that character. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. I just don't know what it's about. I want to know what it's about because then I can look forward to it even more. But a new Hannibal Lecter movie in the works? Come on. I mean, that's just take my money. You know what I mean? So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are. This last bit of news has to do with the Christopher Nolan adaptation of The Odyssey. This report is on Joe Blow. And it says that it was published by Edge Tangonen. I think I'm pronouncing that right. John Leguizamo has joined the cast of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. This article says that Christopher Nolan's next film is shaping up with his signature use of named actors in this ensemble cast. Let's see if it gives any more information about who he will be playing. No. But John Leguizamo is going to be in the movie. I love John Leguizamo. He's such a great character actor. You know, he was great in the John Wick movies. You know, I love when John Wick asks John Leguizamo's character. He's like, so how? Like his John Wick's car is all banged up, and he's like, so how long will it be until it gets fixed? And John Leguizamo's like, you know, maybe Christmas 2030. You know, John Leguizamo's a great character actor. You know, it's hard not to think of the Super Mario Brothers movie when you think of John Leguizamo. Say whatever you want about that movie as a whole. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were so good in that movie. Anyway, I really do think that John Leguizamo is a wonderful character actor, and I wonder who he's going to be playing. Again, much like with Benny Safdie, I don't think that John Leguizamo will be playing a disposable character. And if all of the characters that are in Christopher Nolan movies are important characters to the story, and you know, so I'm looking forward to John Leguizamo being in this movie because I think he'll play another important character, much like Benny Safdie will. This cast is shaping up to me. I'm really looking forward to it. jump in the comment section and let me know what you think. Well, that'll about do it, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Spread the word out there. I love to build more of a community here. I love doing this show. I love getting my thoughts out and it makes me feel good to get my thoughts and opinions out there. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back next week, and until then, I'll see you at the movies.